last series, certainly very, very good. Lambo's had a good run of it, only losing to Christiana.
Right.
But I mean, it's hard to look past Skillus right now. Skillus is the only player in this group to go undefeated. He's been doing it with swag, as we've seen from the gifts. Looking very, very solid. Now, he still has some tough matchups. Skillus has to play Christiana, and he has to play Lambo and Hero Marine.
Right.
So there's still room for him to lose some series, of course. But so far, Skillus in a great spot to move forward. And I think that came as a surprise to everyone.
Yeah, I completely agree. Again, you said at the beginning of the cast, but it's worth restating here. The players who are currently still undefeated in their groups after 4 or 5 days of play, Raynor, Clem, Cyril, no surprises, right? And then the other 2 players who are still undefeated are Denver at 5-0 and Skillus at 4-0 as well. Just a bananas wild group here in Group C. Quick update, by the way, guys. We just finished up with Group B, and we can now confirm, at least the big brain, wrinkle brain, Liquipedia editors have already confirmed that Group B actually already has, their top 4 qualified players out. So Max Pax, Acheron, Harstem, and Vanya, no matter what happens, are not moving on. So Gunfu, Elaser, Clem, and Showtime gonna qualify in. It looks like there will be some high competition for that number 2 spot. Elaser and Gunfu currently tied up, fighting for it, but Showtime, of course, still has a shot. Grant, I know Group B looked like the group of death going in, and it looks like it's actually shook out a lot more quickly, or shaken out much more quickly than the other groups.
I mean, some surprises. Harstem, unfortunately, not making it. Gunfu doing so well. I would have swapped those 2 and maybe Showtime for a laser, possibly. But yeah, certainly a very interesting group there. Group C right now, of course, our focus. This game so far looking to be relatively normal. We have Phoenixes coming out from Goblin. No one ever doubted he was going to go Stargate.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in DnS is slowing down, keeping his tech a little bit slower, not revealing it just yet. Most likely we'll drop that Twilight Council within the next minute or so and move into Blink and things like that to deal with Goblin Stargate pressure. Yeah,
really nice game knowledge there, Grant. You said in the previous series, sort of the longer you wait to see that Tier 2 tech, the more likely it becomes that it's going to be a Twilight Council. And most importantly, most interestingly from DnS here, he's cranked out 3 sentries already. And early sentries, of course, require a lot of gas. Sentries, a very gas-heavy unit. And what that generally indicates is you're going to play a little bit slower, build up for a big timing push here. 3 sentries out just shows that you want to scout, 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 and you want to be able to defend, defend, defend. So DnS playing a little bit more safe here. Twilight Council versus Phoenix, versus Stargate. He's going to see these Phoenix, of course, with his own scouting Phoenix. Grant, what upgrade do you expect to see out of DNS's Twilight Council, and why is it not charge lots?
No, charge lot in PvP, it just doesn't really make any sense. So, but it's something you'll definitely get in the mid game, but early game, he's definitely going to want to look for Blink. He needs to keep these Phoenixes from finding damage. Goblin is renowned for his Phoenix play. I love the early forward here from DnS. This shows he's been doing a bit of research here. He knows what he's likely to play against. Static defenses are going to be pretty easy to pick up because he got so many sentries. He hasn't spent so much money, so many minerals on these early units. He's been able to bank a little bit here. He is going to go for Blink and +1 very quickly here. A couple of probes will get picked off here. Goblin, of course, trading just shields and Phoenix lift energy. A nice start here. Goblin is going to move into a Twilight Council of his own whilst continuing Phoenix production. And a nice find on this pylon as well. From Goblin, we'll supply block DnS for just a moment.
Yeah, always annoying to lose that pylon, even though it's not like super strategically important or anything. Can always be good in the late game for setting up for some run buys or something. Just reducing a bit of the value here. And of course the expected tech path that we all sort of didn't talk about, but all sort of thought might be coming out of DnS here is going to be that Dark Shrine, which is immediately scouted by Goblin, by the way. Those Phoenix, I mean, I'm almost certain he popped in and oh my god, I'm wrong. The Phoenix did not see it actually. So he does not know about the Dark Shrine just yet. He should be hopefully coming to it very quickly though. He needs to be aware that there will be some DTs on the map soon. Goblin, of course, going for that Phoenix play into charge lot, not going for the Robo. Now he sees it, so we should see a Robo down pretty quickly here from Goblin, or at least a Forge and some Photon Cannons. You can't allow your opponent to go to DTs. Oracle. Yeah, Oracle. Oracle also works. A bit of a riskier play, honestly, from Goblin. But I guess his Oracle play is so slick. He's so good with those Stargate units. I shouldn't be too surprised.
Yeah, I think also he just wanted to make sure he was he had something straight away. So if there was a pylon very close, he can react immediately and not take too much damage. So I think he'll just make the one Oracle and then be using the Forge for static defense going forward. Goblin's actually made enough sentries right now that he feels Phoenix is even that he feels confident enough to go into the main and pick up Stalkers defending, and now he's going to move into the probe line. This is going to be quite a lot of damage picked up from Goblin. I think he loses, did he lose a Phoenix there? No, he's really not lost anything yet.
No, he's really not lost anything yet, and this is exactly what we expect from Goblin, right, Grant? Such a strong Stargate player, so good with those Phoenix. It's almost like he knows a little bit about his team owner and has learned some good things from the man himself, Rotterdam. Goblin is one of those players who finds efficiency with Phoenix, and most importantly, not just efficiency, but keeps the pressure on. It's as I say, it's very rare for Goblin just to leave these Phoenix in the middle of the map not doing anything, which is like the cardinal sin of building Phoenix, is leaving in the middle of the map and not having them constantly pressuring, poking, forcing DNS out of position, just as we see there. The Phoenix drawing those Blink Stalkers away to the natural, and that allows him some time to get in here. Great baits there by Goblin, and he's just a master at that, Grant.
Yeah, able to find some decent damage here, and he's not losing Phoenixes, most importantly. Goblin has lost one probe this game. He's killed 16. He's killed 2 Stalkers. He's killed a pylon. So resources lost, I mean, you can see the difference. It's pretty clear. Now, DNS is going for that proxy gateway. He wants to try and be the aggressor with some DTs, with some charge zealots and things like that. But there is already a cannon. There is a battery. There is a stasis ward. Goblin is set up phenomenally. Good for DNS is he still has a good amount of workers. Of course, he's been able to remake them. Goblin has been making quite expensive units and putting his money in there, and Goblin's third a bit quicker. But Goblin is now moving over to DNS's third, which I believe is completely open. He is now going to move in and go for those lifts. He's going to find so much damage. Every probe could go down here, Creighton.
Yeah, a lot of Phoenix wasting their energy or using their energy to third base here. Both players leaving those thirds relatively naked, relatively exposed. Nice snipe there on the stasis ward. Nothing getting caught, and immediately Goblin's going to realize, oh, wait a minute. I built so many Phoenix. I have almost nothing on the ground. Goodness gracious. A couple force fields going down to preemptively sort of zone Goblin out here, but Goblin has gone for Charge Lot and a lot of Zealots. Grant, how does Charge Lot fare against Blink Stalker?
Yeah, it's good if you can get the wraparound, but these force fields have limited that, and this base is now getting very low. Ooh. Goblin's going to take the fight, though. A few Zealots not in the fight now, the rest of them will be able to join. Phoenixes, that's a good amount with a lot of lift, but the charge light number is starting to dissipate here. A few Stalkers in the back offering a lot of DPS. It looks like maybe, just maybe, Goblin's going to have enough to push this back. His supply's starting to rise. He's warping in 5 more Zealots, and that should be enough here. The base as well is full again on shields, so that's not going to be sniped down. Oracles can join the fight if needs be. It looks like Goblin taking the fight that he needs to take. Doesn't want to overextend though like this and lose a lot of Zealots.
Yeah, I'm really worried. That fight looked really good for Goblin initially, but now if you look at his army supply, it's almost entirely just Phoenix. 7 Zealots and 2 Stalkers against 21 Blink Stalkers. This Phoenix energy dangerously low right now, Grant. Again, we saw him attacking at the third base of DNS, getting 9 probes there, but that does mean they used all the Graviton beam energy over on the other side of the map. There are not a lot of lifts available, and even if there were, lifting against Blink Stalkers can be so dangerous. Oh my god, he's trying to go for the Blink here. Gets it. Oh, man, that's beautiful. Little revelation on half the army. Not going to do too much for Goblin, though, and I'm still genuinely worried about his position here. DNS putting on some really good pressure, Grant.
Yeah, I'd like to see... I'm not sure. Does Goblin have a robo? Did he ever get one? No, so he's not able to produce any immortals. He's just trying to rely on gateway units and Phoenixes. Now, his Phoenix energy is pretty good again. We'll see quite a lot of lifts, and every time these fights happen, Goblin is trading more cost efficient. You see his supply much higher than his opponent. Resources lost double right now in favor of Goblin. He's now going to continue to take this fight. He doesn't want to fall back too far as reinforcement warpins are coming. We should see the blink forward once again here from DNS. No, he's not going to go for it this time. So this time Goblin gets a little bit better of a fight. Phoenix energy continuing to climb. His Zealot count is still high. This base is still very much alive. Goblin going for another fight once again right now, and these Zealots just doing so well. Phoenix energy is continuing to be great, and he has enough on the ground now, it looks like, to take the fight without Phoenix as being too much of a concern.
Yeah, this is exactly what he wanted to do. Goblin finally getting up to that pressure where he's able to get on top of these pylons, able to stop the warpins from going down. Of course, the forward gateway means fast warpins are happening, but it's not enough. A great defense there by Goblin. Goodness gracious. Grant, I was so terrified for Goblin there when that attack first hit. I was like, geez, he's got nothing on the ground. His Phoenix are totally out of energy. How was Goblin able to turn such a dangerous position for himself into a huge defense?
Yeah, he just, he had more workers. After killing those 9 workers, he did have an economic lead.
Yes.
And then he was just taking more cost-efficient fights. He wasn't losing very much. He lost nothing in the early game except a scouting probe. And he was able to only take fights when he had enough energy. He figured out when he can lift enough stalkers. He was doing the quick maths in his head, you know.
Yeah.
2 + 2 is 4, -1 is 3, quick math. And in the end, push him back to the position where Goblin had enough ground units to overwhelm his opponent.
Yeah, I mean, very well done. As you said, economic lead, good fight taking, good positioning, good everything there from Goblin. And you can see why this young Croatian Protoss player has become such a force, not just online, but against, these major players like DnS. Grant, if you had told me 6, 8, 10 months ago that Goblin was going to be able to easily smack down DnS in a fight, I would have been very surprised. Goblin looking so strong right now. And as we said at the beginning of the series, a must-win for Goblin. He's currently sitting at 2-2. Winning this series puts him up to 3-2 and gives him a very real possibility moving forward. If DnS loses this, it's likely that he's mathematically eliminated from the group with a 1-4 record. So as we get into game number 2, Juggernaut, DnS truly fighting for his life here. As our co-caster Roddy would say, tournament life on the line here, Grant.
Yeah. Yeah, Goblin, he really needs this win. He's got some difficult matches after this. He plays Marine Lord and Lambo.
Yes.
And he'll really need to get this win so he can maybe afford a loss further down the line to one of those players.
Maybe.
For now, though, he does have the advantage as we move into our second map. It will be Juggernaut. Creighton, bring us in.
Let's do it. Spawning in the bottom left-hand side of Juggernaut LE. It is our red Protoss player from Croatia. And Team Roddy, his name is Gabo.
Bum, bum. Goblin, bum, bum. And his opponent in the top right, don't know where that came from. Playing for Cascade Gaming. He is the blue Protoss player from France. It's DnS, Adrian Bouet.
There you go. We're doing player intros just like they have on the A stream, right?
Yeah.
Get some sick guitar riffs in here. I'll do what I can. Oh, jeez. Well, game 1, fascinating, but I don't think unexpected from either player. Goblin going Stargate to Mass Phoenix. Yep. Of course he is. He's Goblin. DnS going for a solid mid-game Blink Stalker timing. Of course he is. He's DnS. Grant, do you expect any massive changes in what these players are going to be looking for in game number 2, or do you think it's going to be very Leroy Jenkins, and they're going to stick to the plan, chums, and do what they need to do?
I wouldn't be surprised to see a proxy pylon go down for one of these players in this game. If I was a betting man, I'd say Goblin maybe, but Goblin is now moving out to that right-hand side. I think a proxy Stargate on Juggernaut is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very long distance to scout it, especially if you go for it here at the north side of this base. It's very, very far to go and scout. It's not that far a distance for the Stargate to actually travel. It does look like, I have predicted correctly, like a... I can't think of the word. Nope, gone.
Like a witch?
Like a prophet.
Like a prophet. Okay. I was going to say like an oracle, but that seemed too on the nose for what was about to happen.
That would have been even better.
Yeah, it would have. Interestingly here, Goblin is going to retreat from this proxy pylon situation, possibly because, of course, DnS is up in his main base scouting around, and DnS is doing the quick math in his head again, saying, wait a minute. There's a pylon missing here. There's only one pylon in the main base. You should have 2 pylons right now. Where's your other pylon? What are you proxying? What are you hiding from me? And just like last game, as you said, the longer this goes on, the less likely it is for that Stargate to drop. And of course, with no probe here at this pylon, it looks like Goblin, I think, was probably posturing for that proxy Stargate you talked about. But with a good scout from DnS here and nothing coming out of these gateways just yet, he's going to change tack, and it looks like we may see Goblin instead going for Twilight Council. Or no, he's going to wait for Stargate and then pick off the probe. Never mind. Always Stargate.
Oh, yes. Now, DnS has got to be a little bit concerned because he saw a probe as he was moving over all the way to that east position, the sort of 4 o'clock point, and he doesn't know what it is. He's probably thinking there is a proxy Stargate, and I think that's why he's looking to get the Stargate of his own.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a battery going down in DnS's mineral line before the next couple of minutes go by here. But no, Goblin is playing a more macro-oriented style. He does have that Nexus down quicker than his opponent. It is already 1/4 of the way done, and DnS not yet dropping his. Goblin keeping a lot of scouting, though. He still has his probe at the other side of the map to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. I really like Goblin's position here. An amazing choice from Goblin to go for the Phoenix first. Usually if you see two Protoss players and one builds a Stargate first, that player actually has a disadvantage because they're likely to go Oracle, the other player likely to go Phoenix. And of course, Phoenix do a lot better against Oracle than vice versa. But with the Phoenix out now, a lift is available, and that's going to turn the tide here just a little bit. One Stalker pulled out of the equation. That should allow Goblin to trade efficiently. Oh my gosh, should allow him to trade efficiently, I hope. Warp Gate research about to be finished here, but a little bit of damage from Goblin, actually. Or from DNS, rather, doing some nice early shots off here on Goblin.
Yeah, as the second Phoenix pops out and the Warping comes in, Goblin does hold this one.
Yeah.
Problems, he's even going to look for the fadeaway kill here, which I like. Warping just to ensure that he does get this kill. This Stalker will go down and that sort of evening things up. Resources lost right now, slightly in favor of Goblin, but we're talking one worker. Yeah, just one worker. 3 Stalkers going down for either side. And this does favor Goblin, who has that early economy that is just a little bit stronger.
Yeah, a much earlier economy, by the way. That natural already with some probes Maynarding down to the natural to try and get some pressure, or trying to get some economy going here. And Goblin at 30 probes, I expect to see that number skyrocketing, Grant. I imagine he'll go nothing but probes. The Oracle not going to get anything done. I mean, 4 probe kills, but it's not enough, Grant. 4 probe kills with a natural down so much later than his opponent, simply not worth it. And of course, DNS realizing he's in a rough position is going to go Dark Shrine. How do you feel about the choice?
Yeah, I like it. Goblin is moving out though and looking like he will be scouting this before it's able to get quite far into its life cycle here. And I like if Goblin sees this, and then he does now pick up a very, very strong position in the game. DNS is doing his best to deny vision. He has a couple of Stalkers in the main. If he goes for another Warping, Goblin may retreat here. I don't know if he's seen it. Very close right now. He's not seen it yet. He doesn't see it. Okay, now this is bad for Goblin. He has to know something's going on, though. He knows it's Twilight. He's getting a robo. Yeah, Goblin knows for sure.
Yeah, it's a great read by Goblin. As you said, he's got to suspect something's happening here. Another cheeky forward gate from DNS, but Goblin, yeah, seeing those Stalkers out, realizing there's no real additional tech yet, likely not going to be a robo. He's like, all right, I know what the heck's happening here. And more Phoenix coming out. The bad news for Phoenix is that, one, they can't see DTs, and if the DTs turn into Archons, of course, they can't lift them because Archons are classified as massive units, and Phoenix can't lift massive units up. So it can be a little bit difficult to deal with that, but I think as long as Goblin is prepared with that robo down already, Observer coming out quite quickly, I think he's going to be just fine. The first DT on the way. It'll be close, but I think Goblin should be okay.
Yeah, DT warping at the moment at about the 5 o'clock point here. Oh, no, not 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
There you go.
Whatever the time is, I don't know. Over to the left here, it's now going to start walking down. Goblin has started an Observer, and it will be out in time. Great star sense after not scouting this. DT might get a kill, maybe 2, but it won't be getting any more here.
Nope.
Goblin, in fact, even has a probe in position.
Wow, blocking off his ramp. That's so cute, and look at that.
He just knew what it was. Even without seeing it, Goblin knows what it is.
Beautiful, beautiful.
He loses a couple of workers, but nothing exceptional here. Great defense.
Great defense, and it's interesting because it's such a big investment, right, from DNS to go for these DTs. Dark Templar, or Dark Shrine, rather, the 3 DTs, very expensive units. He's even going to be able to get the lift here, and the Phoenix will pick it off. Beautifully done there. And of course, on the other side of the map, even though 3 of his own probes went down, his Phoenix were able to get 3 kills on the other side of the map. So Goblin just clapping right back and saying, no, no, no. If you're going to get unsustainable pressure done, I'm going to get sustainable pressure that fits in with my build. And he's got to find himself in a solid position, now up 80. Overall supply to 61, and with 4 more gates rocking and rolling down, Grant. Does DNS have any real recourse to what's happening right now?
There's Immortals on the way already. Goblin about to find more damage here. A huge amount of it as 9 workers go down. Goblin may lose a... Nope.
Not even that. Not even that.
Lose. Phoenix lost none this game, and he's just in such a great position now. He's up in workers. His army is better. His tech... Excuse me, his tech is better. I have the worst hiccups right now. I've had it for like an hour.
I wish I could help you. You sound fine though. You're doing a good job talking in between the hiccups. I can. It's also difficult because a lot of people don't know that hiccups can be caused by talking too much. Yeah, if you're taking into a chair. Exactly. So very common caster curse there is to get some hiccups in the middle of a game. Grant, don't worry about it. You're absolutely murder. You're slaying it right now. But as you said, Goblin just in such a strong position. His +1 going to be finished at the same time as DNS. His +1 air weapons about to finish as well, making those Phoenix even more potent. And he still hasn't lost a Phoenix, Grant. Still a perfect Phoenix game from Goblin so far. This is beautissimus. I love it.
There's very few people on the planet that can control Phoenix, quite like this young Croatian lad. He's, no, I do like what DNS is doing. He's going for shield upgrades. He's going to go for an Archon-heavy composition here.
Sure.
A little bit more expensive, but shield upgrades with +1 will allow him to trade quite efficiently. Goblin coming in once again here. There's just not enough. Goblin can afford now. He does finally ruin his perfect Phoenix game, but look how many workers he kills. Another 9 go down. Goblin's killed 28 workers this game, and in return only lost, let's take a look, 9 of his own. Now, he finally did lose 2 Phoenixes, but he's lost so little. Resources lost. I mean, just take a look at those numbers. It's mental.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Goblin just in such a commanding position here. I like the DT picking off what it can. This does show that DNS is being very cautious this game, playing very effectively. He's realizing, hey, I can't allow myself to get caught by anything else, right? I'm kind of getting a beating here, but if I let him, you know, warp in something from a proxy pylon location or set up for a zealot run that I'm not ready for, that's a guaranteed way to punch my ticket to loser town immediately. And DNS still holding on fairly well. The problem is that he's invested so much in rebuilding the probes that he's lost. His probe count looks okay. If you look at the workers, you're like, well, they're both on 3 bases. DNS is 47 to 53. Should be fine, right? He's behind. Well, he's going to be ahead on upgrades soon, but he's so far behind on army supply, Grant. It's just terrifying to work with.
And not just supply of the army compositions right now. It's Goblin has 4 immortals. He has all of those Phoenixes. So the Stalkers, he's got 10, so he can lift up 10 Stalkers straight away, meaning that the composition is 4 Stalkers, 2 Archons against against 4 immortals or the Stalkers or the Zealots. It's just Goblin's army is so strong. Yeah. He is playing this out a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see him add on, maybe even another Stargate if he chooses to go to the late game. Blink forward here from DNS won't catch anything, but Speedy Stalkers going to try and track down these Phoenixes. Goblin's done a great job of keeping his units alive. And here comes the push.
Yeah, now, Grant, this is going to be an interesting timing, because it looks like +1 shields is just finished up. +2 might be finished by the time this push hits if Goblin dilly-dallies just a little bit, and that's going to be a 2 upgrade advantage for DNS. Is that 2 upgrade advantage going to be enough to turn the tides in this fight, or do you still think that the composition for Goblin is going to win the day?
Immortals 4 Immortals can one-shot a Stalker, so it doesn't really matter what upgrades they have or whether they fight in batteries or anything like that. I mean, this army from Goblin is insane. It's a very good early, late game PvP army. The Phoenixes are going to take out so many of the units that DNS needs to be pumping out constant DPS. These Stalkers immediately all gone.
He's way out of position, worried about the Phoenix going to the main base. He's got 1 army at the third, 1 army at the natural, and 1 army at the main. Normally, you might think, oh, good, he can flank him, but you can't do a flank unless you've got enough units to really contend. So again, we're going to see a half-army fight. He's actually recalling the Stalkers over so that they're all in position for this fight. But this is just gruesome here for DNS, Grant.
Yeah, Goblin just too strong. DNS accidentally paused him, but GG.